Right, we're live on.
Yay.
We're live, and hi,
Hi.
it's Yulia and
Paul Tarbath.
here from Rawsome Healthy, helping you create healthy hormones, healthy body, and the life of your dreams naturally. And we wanted to do this community Q&A, and it's to connect to you. It's the purpose of it, to connect with you, to answer your questions. I've got my glasses so I can see better, so I can read your questions. And in today's video, we wanted to answer some of the questions that got pre-submitted to us already. And as we are seeing more people live here, then we'll be answering your questions as well. And hi, Analu, thanks for jumping on. And if you want to type your questions, we'll do our best to answer them. Yeah. So I want to share a little story with you first. And recently, about a couple of weeks ago, we went to the UK Fruit Fest. And the UK Fruit Fest is an annual event. It's awesome. If you haven't been to it yet, then sign up for next year. We highly recommend it. And we get invited there yearly as speakers. So at the end of the event, all the speakers sat on stage. There were probably about 12 of us or so. And this lady in the audience asked, I want to ask you a question. I want to know what your poop's like. She said, people don't usually talk about poop, but I really want to ask you, what is it like? Because obviously all the speakers have been on a plant foods lifestyle for we've been on it for a decade. Other speakers have been on it for also a long time, decade, 2 decades, 3 decades. And that was the question that got asked. And although it's a funny question, it's also an important question to discuss. And I hope you're not eating right now. So if you are, then we're going to be talking poop. I'm just warning you. We're going to be talking poop. So the question was about poop, and speakers started talking about how effortless it is on this lifestyle, and especially if you come from a background of gut issues and constipation and irregular bowel movements, and from there all the diseases that can start developing. It's important to experience regular bowel movements. So you eat your food, you go to the bathroom, it's all just nice and effortless, right?
Yeah, absolutely, totally. It's the most effortless digestion and elimination you can ever have in any diet, for sure.
Yeah, and it's something that you experience, and then with that, you can imagine the amount of toxins you are flashing out, inactive hormones like estrogen, for example. So by the time it reaches your gut, it has been deactivated in the liver, and then
cholesterol's going out, all the bile acids that shouldn't be there for a prolonged period of time in your gut, they're getting flushed out as well. So, it's detoxing yourself every single day with a great food that you eat.
Yeah, and I can see more people joining. Let us know, guys, where you're joining in from and what your questions are. So going back to the poop discussion. So with that, I was the only speaker there who talked about gut issues of long-term health enthusiasts, because as someone who was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, then it took me a while to understand that the reason why I still had a Hashimoto's thyroiditis and high antibodies even on a plant foods lifestyle was because I still had gut issues. And you think that that although you eat a super healthy diet, and so it seems that everything is good, you're eating plant foods and everything is working well, your gut is still not functioning properly. And if it's not, if you still got Candida and SIBO and IBS and H. pylori, if you still got dysbiosis, if you still got autoimmune diseases that are not going away, then it's important to understand that gut health is something that you still need to deal with. And one of the questions that was sent to us was from Louise. Yeah, from Louise. And Louise said that she still got gut issues, and she's got an autoimmune recurrent candida infections and an
autoimmune disease as well, potentially lupus, I think.
Yeah. So if you've still got gut imbalances, if you've still got an autoimmune disorder, know that it's something for you to address. So even though this lifestyle brings lots of fiber into your body, lots of nutrients. So what kind of nutrients are we talking about?
Oh gosh, the ones we know of anyway, because science still doesn't know a lot of the nutrition that we get in plant foods. There's so much. So, we're talking about the fiber, obviously, the great amount of fiber that you get in it, all the hydration that you get in it, a lot of water, which is super important again. You get in obviously the macronutrients, the fats, the proteins, the carbohydrates, lots of healthy carbohydrates. We're not talking junky carbohydrates here. We're getting, lots of phytonutrients, vitamins, minerals, anti-inflammatory, antioxidants in there. A plethora of different nutrients, which is, I think, unparalleled in any diet.
Yeah, exactly. Totally. And also in terms of reseeding your gut with good bacteria, there's no greater diversity of bacteria than you'll find then in plant foods, right?
No, absolutely. And I think, if I'm right with this, that you get different bacteria from different foods. So fruits growing on the tree will be different types of bacteria you get on there from the vegetables that you get from your garden. Yeah. And there will be some on there. These are not all bad. They are good for you as well. You can get really good bacteria from the food that you eat. So it's really important to understand that.
Yeah. So then with that, obviously, as you are rebalancing the health of your gut, and let's face it, how many of us have been on a healthy diet before we switch to this lifestyle? Raise your hand up. I cannot raise my hand up. Can you raise your hand up?
No.
So we are talking about years of damaged gut health that we would have experienced before we came across the lifestyle that is, plant foods and lots of raw foods in your diet. So gut health is so important to address. And yes, this lifestyle will supply you with an abundance of nutrients and an amazing, fiber-rich diet that you really need to follow in order to balance your gut. But at the same time, if you've still got underlying gut issues like Candida and SIBO and H. pylori and dysbiosis and all kinds of things, you really need a plan to help you deal with it. And for every single person, the plan is going to be different. So, for example, Louise has shared that she is getting recurrent Candida infections. And hi, guys, everyone who's jumping here.
Hi, everyone.
Great, Annalou, Elizabeth, awesome. So she shared that she's got recurrent Candida infections. Why? This is something that we need to understand. Why is it happening? Why is it recurring? And it's likely to be because there is gut dysbiosis, because perhaps there's still SIBO, perhaps there's still parasites that have not been dealt with. There's still some other issues that are going on in the body. Why autoimmune disease? Well, because there's probably a leaky gut there as well that has not been repaired. So you need a plan to correct these issues. And whatever your issues are, you'll need to have a separate plan for it. So, for example, let's say you've got SIBO. Well, with SIBO, you also need to be looking at the underlying cause of it, which is likely to be there's a Candida and parasites and other things. So do you see how it's quite a complex area, and we really need to understand what's going on with you specifically and then create a plan for you to move forward. But know that unless you've addressed your gut health, you will not be experiencing optimal levels of health. And regardless how many plant foods you do eat this lifestyle, absolutely. But at the same time, there are extra levels that you can introduce into your life in order for you to be able to change things. And what's interesting is that I was the only speaker on stage during the festival who talked about it. And by the end of our talk, of our panel of speakers, when I got down, there was person after person coming to me to talk about their gut issues and how they, even after years on this lifestyle, they related to my story. They still had autoimmune diseases. They had gut challenges. They still had skin issues that were not balanced. So it's very important to address that first. Okay, so that was very long answer to a short question. And that is a very, I really hope that it will inspire you to take action and create that plan for you. And if you're not sure what to do, reach out, send us a message, reach out. We would love to help you with it. Okay. So the next question was about deficiencies, wasn't it? So it was,
Which one here? I think it is.
From Matilda.
Yes, my period disappeared and I went to a doctor telling me my vitamin B12, B6 and
Can
B9.
You speak up?
Yeah, so I went to the doctor and they said that my B12, B6 and B9 were off track. So she was deficient, according to the doctor.
So what do you do if you want to prevent deficiencies and if you want to make sure that you overcome deficiencies? So, all right. So first thing first, what do you need to do is to...
Well, you've got to eat healthily for sure.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. And also what we've been talking about, you've got to have a healthy gut. for sure. If you haven't got a healthy gut, you're probably not going to be absorbing nutrients properly, breaking them down properly so you can absorb them, and straight away you're in problems. And as we sort of touched on earlier on, if you're eating healthily, that on its own might not be enough.
Yeah,
you might have to do other things to heal your gut, to get the nutrients that you're getting from those foods that are going through your body, but might not be absorbing. So that's a really important part of it as well.
Yeah, gut health is hugely important. And in terms of deficiencies, B12, B6, B9, well, really and truly, it's first the supplement. So we cannot get, guys, let's get real here. And it's like the light flashing all the time, isn't it? I don't know if we're appearing and disappearing, must be the connection. So let's get real here. We need to supplement certain nutrients. Is that news to you? And if you've been deceived by other gurus who will tell you that there is absolutely nothing that you need to supplement on this super healthy lifestyle, then it's not right. Run away from them, because the amount of people, we've been health coaches for 7 years. We've worked with hundreds of people. We've seen poop test results. We've seen gut test. We've seen, blood test results. We've seen all kinds of results that people came to us with. And deficiencies are common, not just common amongst people on the plant foods lifestyle, people on other lifestyles as well. So let's get real. B12, we must supplement with, and you will become deficient if you don't.
And just to point out from there as well, is people on other diets can become deficient with B12, especially as people get older. So they won't be getting the B12 from the foods they're eating if they're eating non-plant foods, animal foods. So people shouldn't think that it's just vegan issue here. It's for anybody on any diet. So it's really important that you make sure you get that. And best way to do that is to supplement with B12.
Yeah, so you do that on a weekly basis, and you just keep on doing that, that's for sure. And with regards to B6, B9, so food, if your diet is rich in organic leafy greens, so quality leafy greens, then that shouldn't be a problem. So supplementing, it may be, if you've got other issues going on and with your gut, you might need to supplement, but otherwise, so in terms of nutrients, you should be getting plenty of. And guys, if you have your questions, do ask them here so we can answer them. So just type them in the chat section, let us know. And the next question is from...
We have another question here, which is to do with...
It's from Melissa, and Melissa has asked us about her thyroid health. So Melissa has said that I gave up on thyroxine medication suddenly about 3 years ago, and that really compromised my health. So what is it that I can do to restore my health? So first thing, I know that when you're a health seeker, it's tempting to want to not take any medication. And I totally get it, because medications come with their own side effects, and they can be avoided for sure. And at the same time, with certain medications, and first, we always recommend you going to your doctor and working with your doctor on this. We can never advise you to stop medication. Even if we work together as clients, it would be not our job to advise you to do that. You go to your doctor tests you. Oh yeah, great, let's take you off meds. And then you do that with your doctor. And in terms of coming off thyroxine medication, suddenly it's not something that you should do ever. And I've made videos about it, because what happens is that first, we don't know how much damage your thyroid has experienced. And in the majority of cases, if we're talking about hypothyroidism, we are talking about Hashimoto's. If we're talking about Hashimoto's, we're talking about damage that is done to your thyroid, to the tissues of your thyroid. So then what we are looking at, making sure that first we address Hashimoto's, so never come off thyroxine medication suddenly. It can be serious, it can be life-threatening as well. And I made that mistake myself. I learned from it, and I would never advise anyone to do it. So in terms of thyroxine medication, you first, if it's Hashimoto's, then you address Hashimoto's. And if you are not sure whether or not you've got Hashimoto's, in the 90% of cases, it is Hashimoto's. So go to your doctor, test your antibodies, see where you're at. If it is Hashimoto's, know that you must deal with an autoimmune disease in your body. It is not possible to move forward and to enjoy a great life with an autoimmune disease going on in your body. So your body is like going through dealing with all invaders and protecting itself and damaging its own organs and tissues. So deal with that first. Reverse an autoimmune disease. Deal with your gut health, your liver health. Change your diet, change your lifestyle. Get on track. Get support. Get a coach. Get there. It's important because one autoimmune disease can develop into others, and before long, it's an MS and lupus, and people end up in wheelchairs, so they cannot function anymore. And one of the ladies I talked to, it was really upsetting, and she chose not to become a client. She said that her doctor said that you need to prepare to move to a new house and be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life, because she had a serious crippling autoimmune disease. So don't let that happen to you. Don't let yourself stay in that place. Move out of it. Get help. Move out of it. So then what you need to do is first reverse an autoimmune, and then if your thyroid has not been, it really depends. How long have you been taking thyroxine for? How much damage has your thyroid gone through? And how much can you reduce it by? I'm sorry to say, but if you're on a really low dose of thyroxine medication, but you're a stress case, you just cannot even function. You are full of anxiety and stress, and your mind is all over the place, and it's just a little bit extra of thyroxine gives you a different life, because your thyroid has been damaged. They're just not producing enough thyroxine. Then I would think about, living your life to the full. And at the same time, we've seen our clients come off thyroxine medication, so it's possible. Absolutely, it's possible to do. But when you have the right plan in place, and depending on how much damage your thyroid has gone through. So let's be realistic here. Yes, we are on a super healthy diet and lifestyle. And yes, of course, our clients have a 100% success rate with coming off metformin and cholesterol drugs and high blood pressure drugs. And one of our clients, Della, she came off, what was it, 14 medications in 2 months. In 2 months, she was free of 14 medications. And yes, of course, you can. But with certain things like thyroxine, I would be very careful. And you really need to be cautious of it. If you're feeling great, reduce it, your doctor is approving it, and your body's doing fine, then that's one thing. But if your body's, things are not working, then you really need to look into things.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for tuning in, guys. We've answered all the questions.
Someone's quickly asking us, actually, before we go, how old are you? I think that's a good question to answer.
I once say, you've got to guess. You see, if I just say it, then it's not interesting, is it?
You got to find out. You got to search.
You just got to, just contemplate on it. All right. So that's all we're going to say. Thank you so much for tuning in. We loved connecting with you here, and everyone who tuned in and watched it. Thank you so much. And if you have more questions for our future live stream, we're thinking of doing it once a month. So it's going to be every second Wednesday of the month. Then let us know, and we'd love to answer them. So thanks for tuning in. And what I'll do, if you want to take action and move forward and reach out to us, I'll pop links where you can do that. So there'll be a link to our masterclass that you can watch, and there's a link also to reach out to us personally if you need our personal help. All right, so eat sweet,
keep fit,
and we'll see you again
very soon
in our next video.
Yes.
Ciao for now.
Bye for now.